Here we go. Washington, D.C. Metro Station. Anybody been to D.C.? Anybody know D.C.? Yeah? You guys know Metro Station? I've never been to D.C. But anyway. Metro Station on a cold January morning in 2007. The man with a violin played 6 Bach pieces for about 45 minutes. During that time, approximately 2,000 people went through the station, most of them on their way to work. After 3 minutes, a middle-aged man noticed there was a musician playing. He slowed his pace and stopped for a few seconds, and then hurried to meet his schedule. 4 minutes later, the violinist receives his first dollar. A woman threw the money in the hat, and without stopping, continued to walk. 6 minutes. A young man leans against the wall to listen, then looks at his watch and starts to walk again. 10 minutes. A 3-year-old boy stops, but his mother tugs him along hurriedly. The kid stops to look at the violinist again, but the mother pushes hard, and the child continues to walk, turning his head the whole time. This action is repeated by several other children. Every parent, without exception, forced their children to move on quickly. Pay attention to that. Every kid who walks by is in amazement and awe, staring. 45 minutes. The musician plays continuously. Only 6 people stopped and listened for a short while. About 20 gave money but continued to walk at their normal pace. The man collected a total of $32. 1 hour. He finished playing and silence took over. No one noticed, no one applauded, and there was no recognition. No one knew this, but the violinist that you see on the screen is Joshua Bell, one of the greatest musicians in the world. He played one of the most intricate pieces ever written, with a violin worth $3.5 million. 2 days before this picture was taken, Joshua Bell sold out a theater in Boston where the tickets averaged $200 a piece. $200 a piece. Questions raised. In a commonplace environment at an inappropriate hour, do we perceive beauty? Person after person walked by a man who is world-renowned as a musician, playing a $3.5 million instrument, playing one of the most difficult pieces ever written in classical music, and 6 people actually stopped and listened. Over 2,000 went in. And you know, I think this is us. I'm afraid that we've begun to pass by the story of God's love without stopping to look at it. We are passing by God and His love without stopping to look. And I told you to take note that the kids stopped. Right? Because when I talk to my son Carter about Jesus and what He did for Carter and for me and for Mommy and for Cooper and for Keller, and we talk about God, Carter's eyes are enormous. He can't stop listening. He's glued to the story. He's all about it. Because, you know, he hasn't learned not to. Right? We have totally learned not to be amazed by God. And we just walk by day after day. We walk by. We assume these things. We do this. Especially if we're Christians. Mostly if we're Christians here, we say, I'm bad. God's good. Jesus died. I believe it. I'm not going to hell. Right? That's us walking by the story of God's love and not even paying attention. Because we just know those things. Because you know, when you walk by this guy, you say, guy with violin playing music, people throwing money in. Okay, boom. Right? You don't stop and think, amazing musician, $3.5 million violin, just sold out of Boston Theater for $200 a ticket. You know, we're just walking by. Here's the reality. We say, I'm bad, God's good, Jesus died, I believe it, I'm not going to hell when I die. Here's the truth. Now, I'm bad. This is what it is. It's I choose to reject the God who loves me every time I sin. It's not just that I'm bad. It's that I'm rejecting the God who loves me and created me every time I sin. It's literally like punching an innocent, happy friend in the mouth over and over and over again. Think about that. Just think about you, the friend you have that is just the most innocent person. The person who's just always happy. And think about every day, every time you see them, you just cock one back, let it go. Right? It is so unjust. It's so unjust and inhumane. It's not just that I'm bad. And then we say, I'm bad, God's good. It's not that God's good. It's that everything we know about goodness is wrapped up in this God that we're talking about. This God who created us. When you say good, that whole word is God. Right? Everything involved in that word good is God. Everything. All of it. God is the very definition of good. right? Everything we think of as good has at least some small bad quality to it, right? Like, I think pizza rolls are good. Like, good. I love pizza rolls. To me, they are goodness in a box in the freezer, right? Or sometimes in like 12 boxes in the freezer, let's be honest, right? I think pizza rolls are good, right? But they've certainly got a bad quality, right? I mean, I'm going this way. You can't tell, but I'm telling you, if I took it off, you would throw up. I mean, like, it's not doing me any good in the midsection, right? It's definitely got a bad quality. With God, we say that is good, and there's nothing we can find that is wrong with it. No bad quality. Completely flawless. It's not just I'm bad and God's good. It's that is God, and He is the definition of good, right? I'm bad, God's good, Jesus died. No, it's not just that Jesus died. Right? Solely for the purpose of making you and me right for God, right with God. Right? We were separated from God, and solely for the purpose of bringing us back, putting us back together like something that's broken, the super glue that's holding us back together with God. Jesus allowed Himself to be murdered in the most wicked, torturous, bloody, despicable way that was known to man at the time. Jesus allowed that to happen to Him just so that we could be put back together with God. It's not just that Jesus died. If we'll just stop and listen to the music for a second, we find that it's a lot more beautiful and amazing than just Jesus died. I'm bad, God's good, Jesus died, I believe it, right? It's not just I believe it. It's I have real faith, right? No matter how tempting it is to doubt or reject the truth of the gospel, I'm going to believe. God has revealed Himself to me, right? God has revealed Himself to me. And in response to that, when I see God for who He is, my choice is to make that the foundation upon which my whole life is built. How many of you live in a house or some domicilic structure? Like you don't live outside in a tent. Every place that you live in, right, or ever have lived in, it's got a foundation. And I know you know this, right, but I'm drawing you the picture, right? Every place that you live in is built on a foundation, and that foundation has got to be strong. It has got to be unmovable, unshakable, uncrackable. It has got to be strong. And when you say, I have faith in Jesus, when you say, I believe in Him, you're saying He is my foundation. And I'm choosing this foundation, right? Where I'm going to build my house, I'm choosing this foundation because I believe, I know God has revealed Himself to me, and I know that this foundation doesn't move. That's what it means to say, I believe. Right? That's a huge commitment to make. I'm bad, God's good, Jesus died, I believe I'm not going to hell. You know, it's not just that we're not going to hell. I remember when I came to Christ as an 8-year-old boy, that was a big part of it. Right? I mean, I heard the message, and I heard about sin, and I heard about repentance, and I heard about faith, and I heard about Jesus, and I heard about heaven, and I heard about hell. And the one thing that stuck to my ribs when I got on that bus to head back home was, hell is not good. Right? No. Hell is really bad. Like, that's what I thought as an 8-year-old boy. Like, this is not something I want to go on a field trip and check out. You know? And so I went to someone, and I said, hey, I would like to know how I can get to heaven. Right? And that person had to explain to me that it's not just about hell. Right? It's not just I'm not going to hell. Not only am I escaping the eternal torture that I deserve for the way I've rejected God. You remember what I said when I said I'm bad, right? All that stuff, right? The fact that Jesus died this murderous death on the cross that He could have stopped and did not because He loves us so much. All of that, like for that I deserve this eternal judgment, this eternal torture, right? And some of you are just checking it out tonight, and you're visiting, and you're like, oh, this is my first time here, this is freaky and crazy, why is he talking about this? I'm really sorry, but it's just the truth, and I can't leave it out. Okay, that's what I deserve for how I've treated Jesus and how I've rejected God. But that's not what's going to happen to me. I will spend an endless, never-ending amount of time in perfect righteousness and harmony with the God who created me. Anybody looking forward to that?